watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
This morning on DC News Now, we're tracking a wintry mess making its way to the DMV. This is a live look at the radar right now where you can see a little bit of activity this morning. We've got you covered, though, on the DMV First Warn Day.
We're going to take you right now outside right now with a live look in Hagerstown, Maryland. Things quiet right now. It's just the calm before the storm. This area could see several inches of snow today. Good morning. I'm Tosin Fakile. Thank you for joining us here on DC News Now.
Yeah, good morning to you. I'm Corey James. You may need that shovel or the rain jacket today. It all depends on where exactly you live. And we have live team coverage this morning to help you get through this first storm of the year. Shanika is keeping an eye on the roads, and meteorologist Derek Bowen and Jackie Lair are tracking the storm hour by hour. Let's begin with Jackie, though, this morning to see what is the latest with the storm. Jackie, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Corey. Out there right now, yes, we're not seeing much in our area, but just down towards our south and west, over towards just to the south and westernmost parts of Virginia. That's where we're seeing a little bit of that precipitation slowly creeping in. So as we zoom on in over towards Roanoke, they are seeing some precipitation there, but likely in the form of a little bit of that rain, a little bit of that wintry mix as well. So in those areas shaded in pink on your screen, that's more so that wintry mix. And then also we do have some green on there indicating some of that rainfall as well. This will continue to move its way north and east over the next several hours. But as we zoom on in on our area, it's mainly down towards Harrisonburg, which is just outside of our viewing area. Then we also have those flurries back over towards western Maryland as we speak. So let's zoom in on that. We're seeing a few of those light flurries out towards Kaiser, Mountain Lake Park as well. Extreme westernmost parts of Garrett County getting in on some of that wintry weather right now. That's really the most that we're seeing across our area, at least for now, I should say, because as we look ahead towards later this morning, likely right around 9 a.m., that's when we really start to notice that precipitation picking up across the area. But like Corey and Tosin just mentioned, it's really going to depend on location for where we do see that different type of precipitation. Really depends on that. Some winter storm alerts to talk about. We do have that winter storm warning. That is including Frederick County, Maryland. It's also over towards Washington County in Hagerstown, where we just saw that live look there, where it's all quiet right now, but that could likely change over the next several hours. And up and down the I-81 corridor included in that winter storm warning over towards western Maryland, as well as that eastern panhandle of West Virginia. As you get closer towards DC, so in between I-81 and the I-95 corridor, we have those winter weather advisories. Now, the only difference from yesterday to this morning, that winter weather advisory now includes Fairfax County in northern Virginia. And that winter weather advisory, that goes until 2 p.m. this afternoon. But as you get farther off towards the west, then those winter weather advisories continue to be a little bit later. So we're talking 4 p.m. as you're heading down towards Orange, Virginia, and then over towards Fauquier County. We're talking about until 7 p.m. this evening, that winter weather advisory. So what are the differences between the two winter weather advisories? We're talking less in terms of the amount of snow, but still could be seeing a little bit of that wintry mix and sleet accumulation. Farther off towards the north and west, those winter storm warnings, that is where we could see far more of the snowfall accumulation, also that sleet mixing in. In terms of that timing, really filling in across the area through the morning hours. But then as we look ahead towards the middle of the afternoon, as temperatures start to warm up, those winds coming in out of the east, that rain snow line continues to push its way farther off towards the north and west, really hovering closer towards the I-81 corridor with this particular model. Mainly snow back over towards western Maryland, parts of West Virginia, before this eventually should move out as we look ahead towards later on this evening, thinking between 5 and 7 p.m., clearing from southwest to north and east, and then eventually drying things out overnight. However, with temperatures hovering right around the freezing mark, we could see a little bit more of that refreeze, especially in those areas where we do have mostly that rain for this system. But right now, I do want to turn it over to Derek with the very latest. And when we're talking about the different types of precipitation, what does that really mean? And can you explain it a little bit more?
Yeah, so it really just depends on temperatures within the atmosphere itself. We have the temperatures here at the surface per se, but we also have the temperatures aloft as well. And around the region, we're seeing temperatures into the 20s and 30s, which generally would be good for snowmaking. But just above the surface, however, we're starting to see temperatures that are just slightly above the freezing point. And with that being said, that could melt some of that snowy accumulation and turn it into either sleet or even freezing rain once it reaches back to the surface. And with that, we'll have, of course, that mix to go on as we head throughout at least the morning hours and continuing later on to this afternoon, where things will transition over to a little bit more in the way in terms of snow. But we're gonna have to keep an eye on that, especially as we continue out throughout the morning, because right now, just above the surface, it looks like we do have some warming that is happening.
All right, thank you, Derek. Now we're going to take a look at road conditions right now, right in the district, D.C., Maryland, and Virginia. So we're going to start out on the Southeast Southwest Freeway. No worries, it is looking good. And as expected, Maryland, it's looking good as well along the Capitol Beltway in Prince George's County, Montgomery County, and in northern Virginia. Speaking of Virginia, here's 395 heading northbound over your bridges. That is probably going to be something you want to look out for in the later hours of the morning. Those bridges, as they freeze easily and usually before other surfaces.
All right, Shanika, thank you. We've been talking about this storm for several days. This is a live look at the Washington Monument in D.C. Now, right now, D.C. is not expecting as much wintry weather today as other parts of the region. And you may need a shovel depending on exactly where you live in the DMV.
That's right. Today, parts of Virginia could see a messy mix of rain or snow. Our Leonard N. Fleming is live in Manassas this morning. So, Leonard, tell us, how is it looking and feeling out there this morning?
Corey and Tosin, look, it is very, very, very quiet right now. We're in a shopping center with a Dollar Tree, a Trader Joe's, a post office. It's really quiet here, but I'm going to step out of the shot right now because we have what's going to prepare people for this snow. You've got 1, 2, 3 snowplow trucks here that are sitting there warming up. You've got the salt in the back that will come out and treat these roads later on. Obviously, right now, there's nothing on the roads. There's no snow, no rain. But as our intrepid meteorologist has mentioned, we are expecting more of this wintry mix coming up later today, and we're going to keep you posted. I'm going to be here in this shopping center giving you the updates as much as we can. Reporting in Centerville, Virginia, Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now. Back to you.
All right, Leonard, thank you. Leonard will keep us posted as the morning goes on. 6:07 and ahead of this winter's first major weather event, we're looking at what's being done to avoid the mess that happened after a major standstill on I-95 last January. Virginia Department of Transportation says crews are ready for today's weather. DC News Now spoke with Rebecca Barnes, a Northern Virginia native who says she wound up stuck on the highway almost for 24 hours. She says she's hopeful that 2 reports, each outlining critical errors back in 2022, help Virginia come up with a plan before this happens all over again.
It was just a perfect storm, no pun intended, that enough things went wrong that we got trapped on 95.
Barnes says the main responsibility is on the state when preparing for a potential event of that magnitude. Virginia's Governor Glenn Youngkin posting on social media saying, "I urge Virginians to stay home." And road crews in Hagerstown area also took time to prepare for any potential snow.
Yeah, DC News Now Stephen Cohen checked out their pre-storm routines along with preps in the mountain areas where skiers and snowboarders are expecting to have lots of fun.
Precipitation is expected to hit Washington County at daybreak Saturday.
Road crews are targeting western Washington County.
Those areas seem to be, according to the model, they're going to get hit the hardest, the mountain areas.
And Levine's advice for highway drivers:
just everybody be careful and maintain a safe distance behind our guys. Remember, sometimes they can't see you, and if the salt's coming out, hit your car, that's not good for your paint.
Meanwhile, at Whitetail Mountain Resort in Pennsylvania, just minutes from Hagerstown,
we're super excited about the natural snow coming on top of all the man-made snow. A lot of times people ski for the first time because they see natural snow, so we're hoping to see a lot of beginners.
And Levine's charge to his crew:
first snow is usually a challenge for the guys. Some of them haven't been in a truck for 2 years since we haven't got any snow.
But he is confident nonetheless.
We got a lot of good drivers and a lot of good people here, and we'll fight this one just like we do all the other ones.
Reporting from Washington County, Stephen Cohen, DC News Now.
All right, should be a fun time for folks going skiing. Time right now is 6:09. Crews in parts of western Maryland are gearing up for today's expected snowstorm, including one snowplow company out of Frederick hoping to cash in during the storm as well. John Claypack has been plowing snow for about 20 years in Frederick. He says he and his team are preparing to hit parking lots to keep businesses up and running during the storm. Claypack says what he is expected to make this weekend, well, that's up in the air.
Last year we made nothing. This year, we don't know. It all depends on the weather. I have associates that spend upwards of $7,000 for commercial liability insurance and have nothing to show for it.
Ed Claypack says he has 24 people handling sidewalks and 8 people handling snow plows. He says his team will likely head out around 9 o'clock this morning if the weather permits. Mayor Bowser is planning to deploy the district snow team this morning.
That's right. Pre-treatment of roads in the district began Thursday night. Today, starting at 9 a.m., about 150 snow plows will be sent out across D.C. to further treat the roads. Officials say the district's Department of Transportation will treat bike lanes after the snowstorm clears roadways. The city is also encouraging you to spread salt, kitty litter, or pet-friendly de-icer on your own ahead of the storm if you have those supplies. They also say homeowners must clear snow and ice from their property immediately after any snowfall. And a quick reminder, you can stay on top of all of this winter storm by downloading the DC News Now weather app. Just scan the code on your screen to download that app. That way you can get the very latest information on your phone at any point of the day.
This morning, a missing 4-month-old baby is safe and back home with her mother.
A scary story there. This after a car was taken in Georgetown with the child inside.
And these are the images here of the 4-month-old in her mom's arms last night. Officials say she was found in Southeast D.C. Now, police say she was still in her car seat when someone put her on the porch of a stranger's home and then banged on the door.
The infant was in her mother's car on M Street in Georgetown. Police say they got a frantic 911 call from a mother after someone stole the car at about 6 o'clock. Investigators found the child about an hour later at a home about 5.5 miles away. A man who was at the house where the baby was dropped off told our Mariel Carbone what he saw.
Someone came to the house and was knocking very loudly at the door, and when we opened the door, we saw the baby, and it was very cold. Then we saw a car that looked very suspicious. The car was burgundy colored, and it took off very fast.
Wow, thankfully someone was there. Police looking for the suspects in the stolen car. We, of course, will keep you updated on this story, and we'll give you all updates both on air and online. We are continuing our team coverage on the first winter snowstorm of the year.
That's right. Jackie and Derek will give us a look at what to expect hour by hour on this DMV First Warn Day.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. DC News Now continues.
All right, welcome back. Time right now is 6:14 on this Saturday morning. We're taking a live look over Hagerstown here. You can see it's pretty clear as we continue to track the storm this morning. So far, no rain, no snow. And if you're wondering where it's at, don't worry. It should be coming in just a matter of time. It's doing exactly what our meteorologists have been saying all along, is that right now it is going to be calm. In a couple of hours, this should be ramping up. Right, Jackie?
Yes, precisely. We're taking a look at satellite and radar right now. Most of that precipitation just down towards our south and west, closer towards Roanoke at this point. They are reporting some of that precipitation working its way through that area. So again, as I put this into motion, yes, we're seeing the cloud cover for most of our area, but the precipitation just lingering down towards our south and west. It will slowly expand its way north and east and across the DMV over the course of the next several hours. So this will continue to be something that we monitor through the day today. So there's that low down across Tennessee and that precipitation overspreading just outside of that. And we're looking at a little bit of that snow back over towards western Maryland at this point. The rest of our viewing area, really not seeing much in the way of that precipitation. But again, just aside from some of that snow flurries back over towards Garrett County and over towards Kaiser as well into West Virginia too. But again, very light, but we're always looking at those temperatures, especially at the surface when we're talking about that wintry precipitation. We're currently 35 degrees in DC, just above the freezing mark in Fredericksburg, but we're mid-20s in Hagerstown, into those mid-upper 20s back over towards western Maryland, Kaiser, upper 20s also in Waldorf, lower 30s in Culpeper. Winter storm alerts. We have those winter storm warnings in areas shaded in pink, and that's from Hagerstown down along the I-81 corridor down towards Woodstock. And then we have these winter weather advisories. So the winter storm warnings, that's where we could see several inches of accumulating snowfall along with accumulating sleet and also possibly ice. And those winter weather advisories, a little bit less in terms of the amount of snowfall with those winter weather advisories, but it's still possible that you could see upwards of a couple of inches possible. But aside from that, we're looking at mainly more of that snow to mix ratio. And then again, we're going to be watching that rain snow line as well. So in terms of the timing, by 8 a.m., we're looking at some of that precipitation starting to work its way through. And what worries me with this precipitation type is the fact that we're seeing a lot of pink on the screen. So we're talking about that wintry mix, also the possibility of some freezing rain as well. Really, again, dependent on those temperatures. But we're looking at that rain pushing its way farther off towards the west. Closer towards Manassas, Fredericksburg by about 10 a.m. as temperatures gradually start to warm up. Farther off towards the north and west, Winchester, the I-81 corridor, snow to mix with this particular model. Otherwise, we're looking at mostly that rain from D.C. area south and east. Southern Maryland, you are just a rain event with this system as it moves through. By 5 p.m., we're starting to notice that precipitation wrapping up, especially for our far south and western zones where that winter weather advisory ends at 4 p.m. And then again, we're looking at mainly dry conditions overnight, and then some snow showers still breaking out back over towards the mountains region tomorrow. So in terms of the snowfall forecast, a trace at that closer towards DC, if anything. Otherwise, it will be washed away very quickly. So it's not like you're going to be seeing any of that coating on the ground. 1 to 2 farther off towards Leesburg, Frederick, as well as farther off towards the west, closer towards the I-81 corridor. But we're thinking 2 to 5 as you get closer towards I-81, and then eventually 4 to 6 over towards western Maryland, parts of West Virginia as well. Hagerstown, you're on the cusp of that 2 to 5, even close to 4 to 6 inches of snowfall. Now, like I mentioned before about that wintry mix and ice, that is possible that we could see around 1/10 of an inch for some locations. And so that is what worries me, especially with people traveling. So if you're in any of these areas shaded in pink on your screen, certainly you want to make sure that if you have to be out there on the roadways, you are taking it much more cautious and much more slow. That 7-day outlook showing us again, today's that DMV first warn day with this system, but then notice how Tuesday is highlighted in red. That is going to be our next system that moves through. Not looking at a lot of winter weather with that system, but we're looking at a lot of wind and a lot of rain. So we're looking at a flood risk, and also with those strong wind gusts, we're going to keep a close eye on those and just how strong they could possibly get, especially after this system moves through. We should have a better idea of that next one moving in on Tuesday. Shanika is here on the weekends, and she's talking about traffic. How's it looking out there on the roadways?
Yes, indeed. It's the weekend, Saturday morning, bright and early. You are looking good, and as expected, we're not seeing any delays at all. So we're going to start on 395. Heading northbound, and this is right near Edsel Road. You can kind of see southbound lanes as well on the other side of things. It's very empty, very clear. Now just watch in the later hours of the morning. You could see some slick road conditions, but I have nothing right now. Here's a Capitol Beltway inner and outer loop right near Connecticut Avenue. This is out of Bethesda in Montgomery County. Prince George's County is looking good as well. And here's your bridge, American Legion Bridge, just at the point right before you head over that bridge into Northern Virginia, and it is clear.
All right, Shanika, thank you. Your time is 6:19 on this Saturday morning. Today marks the 3-year anniversary of the January 6th attacks on the Capitol, a day that shook the country. And investigations, which still have a long way to go, continue as investigators work to prosecute dozens of suspects. Hundreds have already been convicted for their roles in storming the Capitol in an attempt to stop Congress from certifying Biden's presidential win. The violent mob forced lawmakers, including former Vice President Mike Pence, to shelter in place inside the Capitol. Now, the charges that these suspects face range from misdemeanor trespassing to felony assault on police officers and seditious conspiracy. The sentences have also been handed down, range from a few months of house arrest to 22 years in prison. Many rioters are already out of prison. During a speech on Friday, President Biden says what should have been a peaceful transition of power turned into an unprecedented attack on our democracy.
Trump's mob wasn't a peaceful protest. It was a violent assault.
On that day, officers were punched, tackled, and tased as they defended the Capitol and those inside.
And as the investigation continues, there are cash rewards offered by the FBI for specific rioters and for the person who put pipe bombs at the DNC and RNC. And construction work on George Washington Memorial Parkway is now complete.
Yeah, after months of work, drivers will see some new traffic patterns on the southbound lanes.
Trying to keep the same character and feel, but making sure everything is just as safe as possible for motorists. The most important thing is trying to adhere to that speed limit of 40 miles per hour. If they're going slow, they should be able to then see the new traffic pattern, ride it a few times, get comfortable with it.
And now that the southbound lanes are complete, similar work will begin on the northbound lanes.
And today, Metro is reminding riders to plan ahead for the weekend. Track and infrastructure work will impact rail service on the red, blue, orange, and silver lines. On the red line, free shuttle buses will replace trains between Noma and Brooklyn stations. Rhode Island Avenue Station will also be closed. On the silver line, trains will only run between Ashburn and Smithsonian stations. Many trains will only run every 15 to 18 minutes. The green and yellow lines will have extra trains running to accommodate riders. These changes will be in place today and Sunday.
And the city of Fairfax says some sidewalks will be closed off for brick replacement. This started yesterday and is expected to end February 2nd. Now it's on Chain Bridge Road between North Street and Main Street. Crews will work 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. during the week.
And 6:22, we are tracking the first winter storm of the year on this DMV First Warn Day.
Our team coverage will continue right after the break.
We do have some winter weather advisories in and across the D.C. metro area. This is outside of D.C. proper per se. We're looking at, of course, everywhere from Fairfax County over in towards Loudoun County into Montgomery County with that winter weather advisory. And in fact, you can see highs today will rise up into the mid to upper 30s, and yes, even some low 40s, especially to the east of D.C., getting closer to the bay. Those waters a little bit warm still, keeping them nice and onto the warmer side. Everywhere across southern Maryland, we'll mainly see rainfall with this, but we could see a mixing of rain, sleet, and freezing rain along the I-95 corridor early on, very light in general. That is why we're in a winter weather advisory and not a winter storm warning. We start to see those winter storm warnings heading back along the I-81 corridor in the Commonwealth, where you can see temperatures as high today will be into the low 30s, mid to upper 30s everywhere towards the east of the Blue Ridge Mountains. In this area as well, could even see a little bit of mixing of freezing rain and sleet along with the snow. We're going to have to watch this area very carefully, especially Washington, Front Royal, Luray, downwards towards Shenandoah. We could have some icy problems here later on this afternoon going into this early evening. Hagerstown looks like a temperature of 33 today, 32 in Martinsburg with highs in 35 in Frederick or so. Hopefully seeing more snow rather than not, but we are going to have to see that to head our way. 7-day forecast shows a few sunny days on Sunday and Monday. That Tuesday, though, we have temperatures into the 50s with wind and rain.
All right, looking at the roads, and you know what? We actually have a crash out there. People are out at this early hour. Colorama Road, and that's heading west right near 18th Street. And that is in northwest there. So do watch for some delays, if any. Now looking at 270 north and southbound right near Democracy Boulevard. That is also pretty clear at this hour. You're running well. 270, the rest of your roadways through Frederick, through Germantown, through Gaithersburg. It is all clear. Once you get over to the 270 spur, that is nice too.
Shanika, thank you. Some neighbors in Capitol Hill are bonding together to bring back a popular neighborhood store. Mott's Market was a small grocery store that opened in the 1960s. Well, it closed 2 years ago, and now more than 60 people in the neighborhood are joining together, raising $800,000 to buy it back.
There was a really noticeable hole in our community.
It was a real selling point for me because of how many people wanted it to be something that was really special to them.
This is something special. It's a place that you come and you belong.
It'll still be prepackaged. You can just grab it.
And market owners hope the market will be up and running by this summer.
All right, your time is 6:27 on this Saturday. We're still tracking that winter storm headed our way. We'll rejoin our Leonard and Fleming as part of our team coverage on this DMV First Warn Day. That's right after the break.
So, say that, what is it, New Center? Newgate Shopping Center. Let me put that down. Newgate Shopping Center.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
This morning on DC News Now, we're tracking a wintry mess making its way to the DMV. This is a live look at the radar, and we've got you covered on this DMV First Warn Day.
And we're going to take a look right now at Hagerstown, Maryland. Things quiet right now, but it is a calm before the storm. It is an area that could see several inches of snow today. All right, good morning to you. Thank you for joining us here on DC News Now on this Saturday. I'm Tosa Fakile.
Yeah, good morning to you. I'm Corey James. You might need that shovel depending on where you live and that rain jacket too. It all depends on your location though. And we have live team coverage this morning to help you get through your first storm of the year. Shanika Grimshaw, she's keeping an eye on the roads, and meteorologists Derek Bowen and Jackie Lair tracking the storm hour by hour though. Let's begin with Jackie, who is keeping a close eye on those up-to-date minutes, or updates minute by minute, rather. I think is what I was trying to say.
Whatever you want to call it.
Right.
You know?
She's standing by with the satellite and radar with the latest. Jackie, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. We'll be ticking those minutes away and away over the course of the morning hours. And again, over the next several hours, we'll continue to notice that precipitation moving across the DMV. But right now, most of that precipitation is just down towards our south and west, seeing some of that precipitation starting up in Roanoke, where they are reporting a little bit of that rain and also a little bit of that wintry mix now. Back over towards western Maryland, though, that's the only area really closer to our region that we're seeing some snow showers breaking out there, and also over towards Kaiser and parts of West Virginia. The rest of the area, we are tracking those mostly cloudy skies, or at least the cloud cover for most of the region right now. But as we zoom on out, most of that precipitation remains down towards our south and west. Will continue to push its way in. So we still have a ways to go with this system, with really much of the day being filled in with that precipitation. Again, like I mentioned, snow back over towards Garrett County, western Maryland, parts of West Virginia, even over towards Romney and Kaiser, breaking out to maybe some light snow flurries at this point. Temperatures, this will be a big story today. The temperatures at the surface, talking about mid-30s though in DC right now, low 30s in Fredericksburg. We're mid-20s in Hagerstown. We're seeing that for much of the I-81 corridor. But we're lower 30s, so right about the freezing mark over towards Culpeper, Luray area. Winter storm alerts to talk about. We do have those winter storm warnings off towards the north and west I-81 corridor. This is where we could see several inches of that snowfall before all is said and done. So that's where we could be needing the shovels. Closer towards DC. DC likely more so needing the rain jacket, but just back over towards most of northern Virginia, we're talking about those winter weather advisories. It's until 2 p.m. for Fairfax County, until 4 p.m. down towards Culpeper and Fredericksburg. So in terms of that precipitation type, mainly snow back over towards western Maryland, West Virginia, the I-81 corridor, but we're talking about that snow to mix, then rain changing over later on today. Some mixed to rain as we head into northernmost parts of Virginia, and then the I-95 corridor across southern Maryland, even down towards Fredericksburg. We're talking about a mainly rain event with this system. Going to continue to monitor it through the rest of the day today. We'll be here and we'll be talking about it as well. But right now, I do want to toss it over to Derek Bowen with the very latest, and we're talking about that different precipitation types. Now, can you explain it a little bit more for folks at home?
Yeah, a little bit more with that. It always has to do with, well, temperatures at the surface, but also the temperatures above the surface, and that's where we're starting to see things start to differentiate a little bit. Just above the surface, I mean, here at the surface, we're seeing temperatures at or below 32 degrees, which is good for snowmaking. However, just above the surface, we're starting to see temperatures starting to rise above the freezing point, and where we can have that warming, especially with the low pressure system, the high pressure system bringing in that warm, moist air, we could see, of course, differing types of precipitation within this storm system, whether it be snow, sleet, freezing rain, or just plain old rain. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of warming just above the surface. So if anything does fall currently, it may be more towards the sleet. We're just going to have to wait and see, though, as the system draws in. We could even see some freezing rain before evaporative cooling starts, and then starting to see more of a turnover to more snow. That's what we're hoping for. But if that doesn't happen, we could be dealing with a bit more ice on the roadways. Shanika?
All right, thank you, Derek. Good morning. You are looking clear right now, and you know what? We're really just playing the waiting game at this point. This is Frederick, 70 heading east and west, and this is at the point where right before 270, which looks good right now, 270 north and southbound. 15 heading north and south as well out of Frederick. You're looking good. 81 north and southbound. The list goes on. There's no problems right now.
All right, you probably know we've been talking about this storm for several days. This is a live look at the Washington Monument. D.C., though, is not expecting as much wintry weather today as other parts of the region.
Yeah, that's right. Which is good news, I believe.
It is some good news for those who don't want to deal with it. I actually want to see some of the snow.
I do want to see snow. There was a soundbite reround yesterday. I was like, what's the point of all of this if there's
if we're
no
not going to
snow?
get it? Yeah. And you may not actually want to pick up that shovel depending on exactly where you live.
That's right. Today, parts of Virginia, though, they could see a messy mix of rain or snow. Our Leonard N. Fleming is live in Manassas this morning. All right, Leonard, so you showed us snow plows earlier. What else are you seeing out there this morning?
Well, nothing else right here, right at the Newgate Shopping Center. But as I showed you earlier, we do have 1, 2, 3 trucks here, and we got the snow plow that's ready to go. This diesel truck, it's got the diesel gas coming off of it. You got people in this vehicle. They're sleeping. They're getting ready for the long haul here. And you've got the salt in this container here that will dispense the salt on these roads. I spoke to a mail person a little bit ago. He said, look, we're going to be delivering the mail whether it snows or not, and he's expecting the snow to happen. And on my phone just a little bit ago, it said at 7 p.m., 100% of snow in this area. So we will be ready for that snow as well. Reporting live from Centerville, Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now. Back to you.
Hey, Leonard, before we let you go, I just wanted to ask, how cold is it? How cold is it out there this morning?
Well, as you can see, I had to pull out the winter jacket here and the gloves today. It is cold out here. I'm from Chicago, as you all know, but I get cold very easily. So in the end, I'm expecting it to be in the low 30s. I believe it's in the low 30s, so it is a little nippy. It could go up as that snow starts to come in. So we're ready for it out here.
Yeah, Leonard, that's what I was going to say. You're from Chicago. I hear when you walk out in the streets of Chicago, you step out, your eyelids freeze. Ain't nobody got time to be having that. Manassas is nothing for you. You got this, Leonard.
But guys, I love the snow. I'll just tell you, I love the snow. I love snow. Being from Chicago, I love the snow. So I'm looking forward to it. We're going to have fun with this today.
All right, we expect some snow angels from you then. Leonard, thank you.
All right, your time is 6:37. Ahead of this winter's first major weather, we're looking at what's being done to avoid the mess that happened after a major standstill on I-95 last January in 2022. Virginia Department of Transportation says crews are ready for today's weather. DC News Now spoke with Rebecca Barnes, a Northern Virginia native who says she wound up stuck on the highway that day for almost 24 hours. She says she's hopeful 2 reports outlining critical errors in 2022 helped Virginia come up with a plan.
It was just a perfect storm, no pun intended, that enough things went wrong that we got trapped on 95.
Now, Barnes says the main responsibility is on the state when preparing for potential events of this magnitude. Virginia's Governor Glenn Youngkin posting on social media saying, "I urge Virginians to stay home." And road crews in Hagerstown also took time to prepare for the snow.
Yeah, DC News Now Stephen Cohen, he checked out their pre-storm routines along with the preps on mountain slopes where skiers and snowboarders are expecting to have lots of fun.
Precipitation is expected to hit Washington County at daybreak Saturday.
Road crews are targeting western Washington County.
Those areas seem to be, according to the model, they're going to get hit the hardest. The mountain areas.
And Levine's advice for highway drivers.
Just everybody be careful and maintain a safe distance behind our guys. Remember, sometimes they can't see you, and if the salt's coming out, hit your car, that's not good for your paint.
Meanwhile, at Whitetail Mountain Resort in Pennsylvania, just minutes from Hagerstown.
We're super excited about the natural snow coming on top of all the man-made snow. A lot of times people ski for the first time because they see natural snow, so we're hoping to see a lot of beginners.
And Levine's charge to his crew.
First snow is usually a challenge for the guys. Some of them haven't been in a truck for 2 years since we haven't got any snow.
But he is confident nonetheless.
We got a lot of good drivers and a lot of good people here, and we'll fight this one just like we do all the other ones.
Reporting from Washington County, Stephen Cohen, DC News Now.
All right, crews in parts of western Maryland, they're gearing up for today's expected snowstorm, including one snowplow company out of Frederick hoping to cash in during the storm. John Claypack has been plowing snow for about 20 years in Frederick. He says he and his team are preparing to hit parking lots to keep businesses up and running during the storm. Now, Claypack says what he is expected to make is up in the air this weekend.
Last year we made nothing. This year we don't know. It all depends on the weather. I have associates that spend upwards of $7,000 for commercial liability insurance and have nothing to show for it.
Claypack says he has 24 people handling sidewalks and 8 people handling snow plows. He says his team will likely head out around 9 o'clock this morning if the weather permits. And Mayor Bowser is planning to deploy the district snow team this morning.
Yeah, pre-treatment on roads in the district, that began Thursday night. Today, starting at 9 o'clock, about 150 snow plows will be sent out across D.C. to further treat the roads. Officials say the district's Department of Transportation will treat bike lanes after the snow team clears roadways. The city is also encouraging you to spread salt, kitty litter, or pet-friendly de-icer on your own ahead of the storm. And they also say homeowners must clear snow and ice from their property immediately after any snowfall. And here's a quick reminder for you. You can stay on top of this winter storm by downloading the DC News Now weather app. Just scan the code on your screen to download that app. That way you can get the very latest information minute by minute on your phone at any point today.
This morning, a missing 4-month-old baby is safe and back home with their mother.
Yeah, a scary situation. This after a car was taken in Georgetown with the child inside.
And these are some of the images of the 4-month-old in her mom's arms last night. Officials say she was found in Southeast D.C. Now, police say she was still in her car seat when someone put her on the porch of a stranger's home and then banged on the door.
The infant was in her mom's car on M Street in Georgetown. Police say they got a frantic 911 call from a mother after someone stole the car around 6 p.m. Investigators then found the child, they say, about an hour later at a home about 5.5 miles away. A man who was at the house where the baby was dropped off told our Mariel Carbone what he witnessed.
Someone came to the house and was knocking very loudly at the door, and when we opened the door, we saw the baby, and it was very cold. Then we saw a car that looked very suspicious. The car was burgundy colored, and it took off very fast.
And police are looking for the suspects and that stolen car. We, of course, will keep you updated on this story, and we'll give you all the updates, both on air and online. And we're going to continue our team coverage of the first winter storm of the year.
That's right. Jackie and Derek will give us a look at your Saturday forecast on this DMV First Warn Day.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. DC News Now continues.
All right, welcome back. It is 6:44 on this DMV Warn Day. You're looking at the live camera over Hagerstown, Maryland, where things are quiet right now pending this winter storm, but some form of precipitation is expected in that area. So if you live there, you may be wondering, what am I going to get? If snow, how many inches? Well, the woman with the answer is meteorologist Jackie Layer. Jackie, it seems like more activity on radar and satellite behind you. So in Hagerstown, talk to us about what we're going to see in all our region today.
Right, exactly. Hagerstown, we're looking at likely seeing accumulating snowfall before we do see a little bit of that sleet mixing in eventually, and then eventually it does move out as we get towards later on tonight. But right now, where's that precipitation? Like you had seen on that live camera there in Hagerstown, it is all quiet, but we are seeing the cloud cover. We're slowly starting to notice that precipitation back over towards some of our westernmost zones, western Maryland breaking out into some snow showers right now. Some of that precipitation slowly starting to move into some of our Virginia zones. We're talking back over towards, say, Woodstock, Shenandoah County, over that way, starting to notice a little bit of that precipitation creeping in there, and back over towards western Maryland. Yes, that's where we're seeing a little bit more of that wintry weather at this point. We still have all the rest of this precipitation down towards our south. That still has to move its way through over the course of the morning and into the afternoon hours. So this is just the beginning of this system. Like I mentioned, we are seeing a little bit more of that precipitation back over towards the west, Kaiser as well as Romney, likely seeing that snow. But on this map, on the radar, it is showing a little indication of some of that wintry mix, and this is overshooting that, so we could be seeing a little bit of that sleet mixing in right now. Temperatures, those are into those mid to upper 20s along and north and west of I-81, right around the 30-degree mark in Luray. We're low 30s, Culpeper, mid 30s in DC. We're upper 30s though, Annapolis and Lexington Park. There's a few of those wind chills. It's feeling like we're into the upper teens though in Hagerstown, feeling quite cold there. Upper 20s is what it feels like in DC if you're stepping out the door right now. Those winter storm alerts though, back off towards the north and west in the area shaded in pink on your screen. That is where we had the winter storm warnings. Those are the areas where we could be seeing several inches of accumulating snowfall before all is said and done. But in those areas shaded in purple, those are the winter weather advisories. The difference from yesterday to today is the fact that now Fairfax County is included in that winter weather advisory. This is where we could see a little bit of that freezing rain, a little bit of that wintry mix as well, which could make those roadways quite slick. Thankfully, those crews have been on it, making sure that those roadways are prepped ahead of this system. But still, we could encounter some of those slick roadways through the day. But that winter weather advisory goes until 2 p.m. for Fairfax County. The rest of, say, parts of Virginia, down towards Culpeper, that's until 4 p.m. Meanwhile, Fauquier County, you are under that winter weather advisory until 7 p.m. this evening. It's all about precipitation type with this storm, and we have multiple versions of that precipitation type. We're talking about mainly rain though across southern most parts of Maryland. As you head over towards DC as well as over towards Manassas and even down towards Culpeper, some mix to rain, and then we're looking at that snow and mix ratio over towards Leesburg, Loudoun County, over towards northern Fauquier County. And this is the area that I'm most concerned about when we're talking about that snow to mix and then eventually over to rain. We could be seeing a lot of those slick spots, especially down towards Luray as well. So in terms of the timing, we are looking at by about 10 a.m. Most of the region, you have some sort of precipitation, but we're looking at those temperatures warming up, so that rain snow line being pushed its way farther out towards the west. But then we still have that sliver of pink on the screen, which is where I'm most concerned about through the day and into the evening. And then back over towards western Maryland, you're mainly that snow event back over towards, say, Kaiser as well as Cumberland. Before this eventually wraps up by about 7 p.m. this evening, or even a little bit later than that, then we're still going to be breaking out into some snow showers back over towards westernmost parts of Maryland tomorrow. The rest of the area should be drying out. Here's the rest of that 7-day outlook though. Again, DMV first warn day today. Once the system exits, we'll have a better idea of Tuesday, but Tuesday already a DMV first warn day for our next system with rain and wind in the forecast. Shanika is in on this Saturday morning talking about traffic. How's it looking out there right now?
All right, well, you know what? I'm happy that it's so clear out here. Look at this. This is the Southeast Southwest Freeway. In Southwest and Northwest, Northeast, everything is pretty clear. We have one crash, though, and that is, I believe, in Northwest. That could slow you down just a bit if you're seeing any high volume of traffic. But again, right now, it is pretty clear. Now, here's Colorama and 18th Street. You could see some flashing lights there, but really that's just about it. Let's check out Northern Virginia. Here's 95 heading north and southbound, and no worries.
All right, Shanika, thank you. Well, it is 6:49, and even in the winter, you can still get outside and enjoy time with your family. Tonight, Wright, one of our morning anchors, looks at a program offered by Virginia State Park, encouraging people to explore the state one step at a time.
There are 42 state parks in Virginia.
Autumn Yates, the creator of the Instagram account Young Virginian, says her family started exploring the state parks during the pandemic as a way to get outside and enjoy their time together.
I had written about it on social media, and a friend said, well, you should try and do Trail Quest.
Trail Quest is a state park program that encourages people to visit all 42 of the state parks. Yates says once you visit a state park, you log your visit on the website, then you get a special pin sent to you.
So you get a pin every few parks that you visit. So you get one for your very first park, kind of as a motivational tool, I guess. And then you get one for your 5th, your 10th, your 20th. And then once you visited all of them, they have a little ceremony where you get your final pin and a certificate at the park of your choice. You're considered a master hiker by that point.
Yates says participating in Trail Quest has taken her and her family all over the state.
We just visited our 20th. It's just been a special bonding opportunity for me and the kids. And I'm just really grateful that I discovered it, because there are so many unique parts of the state that I don't know that I would have necessarily even known about, let alone visited, had I not been researching different state parks to visit.
Yates says it's a great way to learn about the world around you.
It's an easy activity to do with the kids. There are trails at all of the parks. Many of them have playgrounds. There are visitor centers with exhibits and animals, just so many different opportunities. In a time and when our society is so connected to screen time, getting that fresh air and getting that family time is something that's really crucial to our children's development.
All right, definitely some fun places to visit. We're going to continue our team coverage of the first winter storm of the year.
That's right. Jackie and Derek will give us a look at your Saturday forecast on this DMV First Warn Day. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. 6:54. A survey by Preply finds that 80% of Americans say their tone becomes more hurtful when they're stressed. I don't know why I think that's funny. They have a look at the top phrases reported at the workplace when under stress. Number one is don't care, followed by not my job. This is a waste of time and I'm too busy. Most employees say workplace negativity dampens their motivation. I'm too busy. I'm going to start telling you that, Corey. You never ask me for anything anyway, but if you do, my response to you now is I'm
You're
too busy.
You're too busy to help me?
I'm not entirely sure what I'm too busy doing, but you know.
Yeah. I mean, the survey is probably accurate. I think certainly when you're stressed, you're probably heightened with your emotions and
yeah.
are probably shorter with people than you normally would be.
Yeah. Do you have a go-to phrase when you're stressed?
I just can't.
I don't think it's appropriate.
That's mine. That's wow.
At least you're being honest, you know.
I always just go, I just can't.
Okay. Jackie?
I usually just don't talk.
Me too.
I usually just.
That is true.
I go into silent mode.
I'm
and I'm like, can she hear me?
This actually happened yesterday.
It did.
Jackie,
I'm sorry.
Jackie.
But it also doesn't help that I am partially deaf, so that didn't help in my favor that I didn't hear you. But I also had my hood up. I was just, in my phone.
To your zone.
Yes.
And honestly, that is what I think of first. I don't think that you're stressed. I just question if she heard me.
Right.
Because I do know about.
Yeah. That.
Jackie's the nicest person.
Yeah,
One time
she
I
is.
thought she was mad at me when she was just like, and I was like, oh no, what did I do?
I'm sorry. It's not you, it's
we all
me.
do different things.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hopefully this weather with everything going on isn't stressing you because you're doing great.
Oh,
You are doing great.
Thank you. Yes, and we also have Derek in. He's also helping with team weather coverage today, and we have that continuing coverage all throughout the morning hours. But as we take a live look at the radar right now, we are seeing that precipitation starting to move in, and we'll continue to monitor that radar all morning long. Right now, though, that precipitation still mainly for the southwesternmost parts of the area, starting to move in to areas like the Shenandoah Valley, the extreme southwesternmost parts of the Shenandoah Valley at this point. Then we also have some of that snow breaking out back over towards western Maryland. But aside from that, D.C., it is quiet. Hagerstown, it is also quiet right now. That will certainly change over the next several hours as all that precipitation still has to move its way through the area. But right now, do I want to toss it over to Shanika or no? Are we going right to break? We're going to go right to break. Thanks, guys.
You're watching the station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
All right, top of the 7 o'clock hour this morning on DC News Now, we're tracking a wintry mess making its way to the DMV. This is another live look at the radar right now, and we've got you covered on this DMV First Warn Day as we continue to track the storm.
That's right, you can see that movement on radar, and this is a live look in Hagerstown, Maryland. It is quiet right now. It's the calm before the storm, but this area could see several inches of snow today, so they need to be prepared because minute by minute, everything changes today. Good morning. I'm Tosin Fakile. Thank you for joining us here on DC News Now.
Yeah, good morning to you. I'm Corey James. You may need the shovel or rain jacket today, and it all depends on exactly where you live. We have live team coverage, though, this morning to help you get through the first storm of the year. Shanika is tracking the roads to help you keep an eye on what you need to do if you plan on going out, but you really should stay in if you don't have to go anywhere. Meteorologist Derek Bowen, though, and meteorologist Jackie Lair, they're tracking the storm hour by hour. Let's begin first, though, with Jackie. Jackie, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Corey and Tosin. Out there right now, we're looking at satellite and radar, more of a regional view to show you what is happening. We are starting to notice some of that wintry weather breaking out over towards western Maryland, but extreme southwesternmost parts of the Shenandoah Valley starting to notice a little bit of that precipitation, whether it could be a rain snow mix, a little bit of that wintry mix starting to creep in closer towards Luray right now, and then eventually we will notice more of that precipitation overspraying the region over the next several hours. Thinking closer towards DC, thinking closer towards the 9 o'clock hours when we could start to notice a little bit of that precipitation pushing its way in. We do have some weather alerts to talk about. We do have the winter storm warnings as well as winter weather advisories, and the winter storm warnings, those include western Maryland as well as the eastern panhandle of West Virginia and even into the Hagerstown area, and this is where we could see several inches of accumulating snowfall and also could be seeing some ice accumulation as well, really dependent on those temperatures. And speaking of, we're seeing those temperatures right now in those mid-upper 20s along and north and west of the I-81 corridor. We're right at the freezing mark in Leesburg, still holding to those mid-30s in DC, upper 30s in Annapolis and Lexington Park, and really that's where we're going to be noticing more so the rainfall from I-95 areas south and east and into southern Maryland. Most of this will be falling as rain. Winter storm alerts, though, those are mainly along and west of the I-95 corridor, but those areas shaded in pink, this is the area where we're most concerned with the accumulating snowfall, along with that possibility of some accumulating ice as well, especially over down towards Luray area. Closer towards DC, we're talking about Fairfax County and over towards much of northern Virginia under those winter weather advisories. This is where we could see a little bit of that snow accumulation and also some slick travel as well when we're talking about that wintry mix to rain. So again, precipitation type, we do have a lot of different types of precipitation on this map. We're looking at mainly snow farther off towards the north and west, that snow to mix to rain late, and in this area from Westminster to Frederick down towards Leesburg and over towards the Shenandoah Valley. Some mix to rain as you get closer towards the DC metro area, but mainly rain for DC and areas south and east, even down towards Fredericksburg as well. So we're talking about all these different types of precipitation, and I know that does confuse some viewers out there, but right now I do want to toss it over to meteorologist Derek Bowen, who is in here with me, and we're talking about the team weather coverage. And with that, can you explain a little bit more about the different precipitation types?
Yeah, so a lot of the times when it comes to different winter weather precipitation types, it deals with the temperature not only at the surface, but the temperature just above the surface. And a while ago, about an hour ago, we were starting to see a lot of temperatures south of I-66, just above the surface, being into the above freezing range, above 32, which is really not that good when it comes to snow, for pure snowfall. But you can see some areas like Woodstock and Luray, we're starting to see modeling that is indicating that that is going below 32, which is good news. And that's probably due to a little bit of evaporative cooling that is occurring with this moisture that is in Luray as we speak. As a snowflake melts, the air around it cools. And so that's why we're seeing that little bit of cooling, which may transition this to more of a sleet to a snow here later in the next couple of hours. Is something that we're going to have to watch throughout the entirety of the morning, because if it continues to warm too much, we could be dealing with some freezing rain, and we definitely don't want ice on those roadways, Shanika. I tell you what, they got the roads all nice and salted over from Hagerstown all the way down to DC, but what are they looking out like there right now?
Well, Derek, they're really prepared. As you mentioned, they did treat those roads. We're looking at 95 heading north and southbound. This is one of the areas that they treated right in Springfield, right at that mixing bowl. And you can see it's very clear. You know what? It's the top of the 7 o'clock hour on an early Saturday morning, so can't expect much. It's looking really clear along the Capitol Beltway throughout Montgomery and Prince George's County.
All right, Shanika, thank you. And of course, we've been warning you about this storm for the last several days. This is a live look at the Washington Monument in D.C. Now, D.C. is not expecting as much wintry weather today as other parts of the region. You may need, though, a shovel depending on exactly where you live in the DMV.
That's right. And today, parts of Virginia could see a messy mix of rain and snow. Let's head outside to Leonard N. Fleming. He is live in Manassas this morning. Leonard, how is it looking out there in the 7 o'clock hour?
Well, Corey and Tosin, I'll just tell you, our phones lied to us. They lied to us. They said right now it'd be 100% chance of snow. That's why you got to listen to our intrepid meteorologist, Jackie Layer, because in the end, it is still clear out here. We see the sun starting to peek out a little bit. But here behind me, you've got 3 trucks here with snow plows and salt ready to go. They are actually resting in those cabins right now. The diesel engines have been going for at least an hour and a half, so they're getting ready for what could very well be a very, very long day. And I also spoke to a postal person who was getting ready for his route, and he said, look, this winter storm is not going to stop us. We're still going to deliver the mail. So we also interacted with a few folks that we'll bring you here in the next hour who are also preparing for this potential winter storm. So we're here in Centerville. Leonard N. Fleming, DC News Now, back to you.
Hey, Leonard, is it cold enough for a Christmas story moment? I see a pole behind you.
Don't do it, Leonard.
Can we get just one moment?
I'm not going to touch that one. No poles.
Leave it.
I think you can do it.
Don't do it.
Do it for the people so they don't have to do it at home, you know?
But it is cold, Corey. You can come out here and join me anytime.
That's okay. I haven't been out on the streets. I did it for years.
Just don't ask me to shovel, Corey. Just don't ask me to shovel any stone. I'm good.
Oh, my gosh. All right, Leonard, thank you. We'll check in with you in another
Thank you, Leonard.
Thank you, Leonard. It is 7:06, and ahead of this winter's first major weather event, we are looking at what's being done to avoid this mess that you're looking at on your screen that happened after a major standstill. This is on I-95 in January of 2022. Now, Virginia Department of Transportation says crews are ready for today's weather. DC News Now spoke with Rebecca Barnes, a Northern Virginia native who says she wound up stuck on the highway that day for almost 24 hours. And she says she's hopeful 2 reports outlining critical errors in 2022 helped Virginia come up with a plan.
It was just a perfect storm, no pun intended, that enough things went wrong that we got trapped on 95.
Now, she says the main responsibility is on the state when preparing for a potential event of this magnitude. And Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin posting on social media saying, I urge Virginians to stay home. And road crews in Hagerstown area, they also took time to prepare for the snow.
Yeah, they did. And DC News Now Stephen Cohen checked out their pre-storm routines along with some of the preps on the mountain slopes where skiers and snowboarders are expected to have lots of fun too.
Precipitation is expected to hit Washington County at daybreak Saturday.
Road crews are targeting western Washington County.
Those areas seem to be, according to the model, they're going to get hit the hardest. The mountain areas.
And Levine's advice for highway drivers.
Just everybody be careful and maintain a safe distance behind our guys. Remember, sometimes they can't see you, and if the salt's coming out, hit your car, that's not good for your paint.
Meanwhile, at Whitetail Mountain Resort in Pennsylvania, just minutes from Hagerstown.
We're super excited about the natural snow coming on top of all the man-made snow. A lot of times people ski for the first time because they see natural snow, so we're hoping to see a lot of beginners.
And Levine's charge to his crew.
First snow is usually a challenge for the guys. Some of them haven't been in a truck for 2 years since we haven't got any snow.
But he is confident nonetheless.
We got a lot of good drivers and a lot of good people here, and we'll fight this one just like we do all the other ones.
Reporting from Washington County, Stephen Cohen, DC News Now.
All right, crews in parts of western Maryland are gearing up for today's expected snowstorm, including one snowplow company out of Frederick, hoping to cash in during the storm, too. John Claypack has been plowing snow for 20 years in Frederick. He says he and his team are preparing to hit parking lots to keep businesses up and running during the storm. Now, Claypack says what he is expected to make this weekend is up in the air.
Last year we made nothing. This year, we don't know. It all depends on the weather. I have associates that spend upwards of $7,000 for commercial liability insurance and have nothing to show for it.
Claypack says he has 24 people handling sidewalks and 8 people handling snow plows. He says his team will likely head out around 9 o'clock this morning if the weather permits. All right, Mayor Bowser is planning to deploy the district snow team this morning.
Yeah, pre-treatment of roads in the district began Thursday night. So today, starting at 9 o'clock, about 150 snow plows will be sent out across the district to further treat the roads. Officials say DC's Department of Transportation will treat bike lanes after the snow team clears roadways. Now, the city is also encouraging you to spread salt, kitty litter, or pet-friendly de-icer on your own ahead of the storm if you have those supplies. And they also say homeowners must clear snow and ice from their property immediately after any snowfall. And here's a quick reminder for you. You can stay on top of this winter storm. All you have to do is download the DC News Now weather app. Scan that code on your screen right now to download the app. That way you get the very latest information minute by minute on your phone as the day progresses.
This morning, a missing 4-month-old baby is safe and back home with her mother.
Yeah, this after a car was taken in Georgetown with that child inside.
And these are images of the 4-month-old in her mom's arms last night. Officials say she was found in Southeast D.C. Police say she was still in her car seat when someone put her on the porch of a stranger's home and banged on the door.
The infant was in her mom's car on M Street in Georgetown. Police say they got a frantic 911 call from a mother after someone stole the car at around 6 p.m. Investigators say they found the child about an hour later at a home about 5.5 miles away. A man who was at the house where the baby was dropped off told our Mariel Carbone what he saw.
Someone came to the house and was knocking very loudly at the door, and when we opened the door, we saw the baby, and it was very cold. Then we saw a car that looked very suspicious. The car was burgundy colored, and it took off very fast.
Right now, police are looking for the suspects and that stolen car. We, of course, are going to keep you updated on this story and give you all the updates, both on air and online.